Hey guys, this is IrieStarcraft and I'm back to cast another game for you. This will be a 4 versus 4 on high ground, and it's going to be between Wacko, the red Terran player, his teammate ingeZ, the teal Zerg player, and their teammates ROL, the blue Zerg player, and azLaR, the purple Protoss player. Their opponents will be LMntJJenVy, the pink Zerg, and chronicgamin, the green Protoss, and their teammates will be Stranix, the yellow Zerg player, and haCkCarlos, the orange Zerg player. So we have a triple Zerg Protoss team on the bottom and a double Zerg with a Terran and Protoss on the top team. Now I can't actually recall ever casting a game on this map, high ground. So I'm not sure if I have cast any games on this map before. It is a really good map. I really personally like this map. It makes for a longer, more exciting games usually on the 4v4 circuit, and that is because you get paired off here with one teammate with a shared base and one main ramp up the front. It is a pretty wide ramp, but the rush distance pretty far, so you can usually get it walled off if you need to, if you're going against a bunch of Zergs. So it looks like though the top team will not really be able to wall off, or they're not even going to try to wall off. You see Wacko focusing on defending his base. Interesting that azLaR is building up front though. So we'll see how that pans out with their attempts to wall off, as you assume the bottom team with 3 Zergs is going to be sending some early Zergling pressure. But again, a long rush distance, and there's some other interesting things about this map. There is destructible rocks here, which can sort of create this shortcut from one side to the other, from this pair of bases to this pair of bases. Otherwise, you've got to run all the way through the middle here. You got to run down this ramp into the middle. There's a couple of high yields here. Here's one. Here's another one. There's one over here, and I guess another mirrored one down here. These high yields can be really difficult to hang on to, as the Zerglings are going to engage in the middle. It looks like JJenVy will definitely be getting the better of that engagement. So it's funny how those tiny little Zergling engagements can actually end up making a big difference early in the game. As you saw, I think that was, I wasn't sure exactly whose Zerglings he was fighting there, but they lost all of them. And JJ only lost a couple. And by the time these Zerglings engage next, they will be full life again from that regeneration, most likely. So really it is compounded, those losses. And so it looks like Zerg players are starting to stream Zerglings all the way up here. So we do have a plan of attack, it looks like, from the bottom team. We'll see where they try and make the harassment. Wacko is actually going double tech labs on these barracks. So this definitely looks like a Marauder heavy build coming out of Wacko. Surprising, going against 3 Zerg players on the bottom team. We'll see how it pans out. And now it looks like JJ does have his Zergling speed finished, and they're going to start harassing into his base, but he does have quite a few Zerglings of his own. He's going to be trying to protect that mineral line. Zerglings, it looks like, for Carlos and JJ are going to run into the Terran. There are Reapers out. That's what is going on here. I completely missed that. Are there Reapers down here yet? No. The Reapers, how did I not even... I haven't seen Reapers in so long. I'm like, what is he doing going for Marauders? There's a major Zergling battle now in the middle. Reapers are a little bit late to the party, and they're going to get surrounded by the speedlings of JJ. Reapers will be jumping down and using this low ground, though, nicely. Some serious micro is going to be in order to keep these Reapers alive and effective. Wacko doing the best he can, and actually able to deflect that attack is the top team, so nicely done there. And is this a counterattack? We do have a counterattack coming from the blue Zerg player on the top right, and Stalkers are being warped in. Those are not going to be very effective. Chronic should have been thinking about some Zealots in that situation, but it looks like JJ does have a few spare Zerglings out here, and ROL is morphing in some Banelings. JJ is forced to try and take out these Banelings before they can morph in. This one is going to be close. It is not going to get finished, and now JJ using his drones to try and protect the Queen, almost surviving, but it is going to go down, and JJ will be able to stay alive here. Gotta be careful though, because ROL has got 10 banelings rolling forward here, and now JJ is trying to split his Zerglings and take out these banelings as best he can. This is going to be very difficult. He's got little single Zerglings all over the place. These stalkers need to be focusing down the banelings, and look at these banelings with no Zergling cover. That is part of the problem with going all baneling, that they can easily get picked off by stalkers, just like you just saw. And now at the same time over here on the left side, we do have ingeZ trying to make a counterattack down here. There's a Spire finished already for Stranix, and he does have 6 Mutalisks now just finishing, so keep that in mind. And there are Reapers in the back of haCkCarlos' base. Carlos completely getting torn up by these Reapers. So I was keeping in mind to try and watch for that, but I totally forgot because there's so much action going on either side right now. And now ROL does have some cover for these banelings. He's got a bunch of stalkers in the form of azLaR's army. And now with some Zergling support, the bottom right, the pair of players in the bottom right are in huge trouble right now. chronicgamin has to try and ward this attack back. And something has got to happen with these Mutalisks from Stranix. So we'll see what can be done here. chronicgamin looks like throwing down extra pylons to make sure his warp gates do not get unpowered there. He's also supply blocked, losing some of his buildings at the front. And here come the Mutalisks, are going to be trying to work on these stalkers in tandem with chronicgamin stalkers, and azLaR with no blink is sort of backing himself into a corner with these stalkers, and it looks like they are all going to go down now. So the bottom team hanging on by a thread. Meanwhile, there is more Zerglings coming from ingeZ on the top left, but Stranix, well aware of that, is going to be quickly sending his Mutalisks back over here. Will he be using them to try and kill these Zerglings? He's got to be careful though, because his drones are starting to get killed very, very quickly now. And now he's starting to micro these drones and trying to use them around this spine crawler to keep them alive as long as possible. Tons of action in this game. After initially seeming like the bottom team had an advantage, all of a sudden the top team seems to have had the advantage, but Stranix has got to make something happen with these Mutalisks. Finally, the Reaper threat, I guess, has been negated, and haCkCarlos is sort of back into this game. He's got his economy back up and kicking again. More and more Zerglings streaming in from ROL. He is relentless right now, and he may be able to take out a ton of drones and put haCkCarlos back in back up against it again, I should say, but these Mutalisks from Stranix should be able to clean that up fairly easily. And now that okay, Carlos lost most of his remade drones there, and chronic's sort of running his units back and forth. Too slow right now. These units are too slow to keep up with all these Zergling run-bys, but now Mutalisks going to be counterattacking for Stranix. And he is going to be able to take out this expansion. This command center is going to lift off and try and fly away. There are a bunch of Marines here. I was going to say, what's up with these Marines from Wacko? They are going to move down here to try and defend this command center. And it looks like this command center will survive. Just needs to be repaired before it burns to death there. And so Stranix is going to go ahead and cruise over to this side. Somehow Wacko's got all these Reapers up here. That's interesting. I wonder if he was thinking about using these Reapers to run down and do some harassment on this side, but he just sort of forgot about them. Hard to say. Meanwhile, azLaR has expanded. chronicgamin trying to expand. Mutalisks continuing the harassment up here. And it looks like ingeZ is going to be sending out his mass Zerglings again. And the top team, though, ready to make something happen. chronicgamin finishing his blink research. And just now sending over his probes to his fresh expansion. These Zerglings from ingeZ are just going to run straight ahead into all of these Mutalisks. And I guess just try and kill as many drones and queens as they can before they all die. I don't really like that play right there. I feel like ingeZ's strategy of just continuously sending balls of Zerglings to their death is not going to pay off here in the long run. He is killing a little bit of economy each time, but really though, if he had waited and combined forces with the rest of his teammates, maybe in a lot better shape right now. Instead, Mutalisks from Stranix and Zerglings, the Zerglings which are now all dead, have been cleaning up those armies. And these Mutalisks will die, though, to these stalkers. One of them will die. And Stranix, it looks like, is content to continue to make Mutalisk. So he's just going to stick with this strategy for now. He's going to definitely need an expansion here pretty soon to be able to keep this up. And all these guys without expansions, man, they're going to need them soon. As ingeZ actually has an Overlord down here with Vision. I'm surprised that hasn't been taken out yet. And Mutalisk for Stranix. Stranix is the one doing all the harassment right now. He's got to be careful. Some Marines have run down here. There aren't that many of them, though. Oh, scratch that. There's a huge ball of Marines down here that I just didn't even notice before. And now Carlos is back in this game. He's got a ton of Zerglings, and he's going to be forcing back these two guys from the top that just relentlessly sending their Zerglings here. We have ingeZ and Roll. At least Roll has a Spire now that he's working on. And he does have some Mutalisk now on the way out. My FPS is getting really low for some reason right here. Crazy. There just must be too many Zerglings on the field. And anyway, I keep dogging ingeZ because he's not doing anything. He's not teching anything. All he does is sits here with all these minerals and makes as many Zerglings as he can and then sends them off by themselves to go die. So, sorry, I'm dogging on this guy. But ROL now with some Mutalisk, something worth a crap in this game, is going to be a major engagement now here in the middle as chronicgamin with an Archon as well as all these Stalkers that do have Blink and Zealots filing through the bottom team with a pretty powerful army right here, and these Zealots are just going to slice and dice everything in combination with the mutas overhead. Excuse me there, as chronicgamin now with the Protoss Death Ball working. I feel like if they had tried to press the right team, or the top right team here, they may have had some success. As you can see, ROL was already in desperation mode, throwing down spine crawlers in his main. So we'll see if they're actually waiting for more reinforcements. There are now High Templars on the field for chronicgamin, so the tech advantage definitely in the bottom team. There is a bunch of Marines, though, coming down here from Wacko all by their lonesome. Again, it looks like actually now ingeZ is going to try and join these Marines. If those Zerglings can make it into this ball and help defend them, it may pan out for the top team, but it doesn't look like that's going to be able to happen, as the Zerglings too far behind for ingeZ will not be able to support these Marines. But haCkCarlos, his main is going to fall. And another stim going off for these Marines. They are going to engage this head-on. There is no other choice for them at this point to do as much damage as they possibly can. Mutas need to hang back a little bit because they are so flimsy when running into these ball of Marines. They turn around for just the right amount of time and double back when there's some ground support. Unfortunately for these High Templars, they were unable to get any epic side storms down because they're so slow. And ROL, meanwhile, is like, I'm going to stream more Zerglings by here to annoy you. chronicgamin does have some High Templars back here, but not enough energy. As you guys know, there is no more Kaidiran Amulet, so these Zerglings are just going to be really annoying. Actually, some Banelings were going to morph in there and not morphing in anymore. And chronicgamin has brought his army all the way down. So I feel like the bottom team could be ending this now. ingeZ just streaming more and more Zerglings down here, being so annoying with these Zerglings. I swear, he has tried to expand now, so I'm impressed. He is getting an expansion, so that is good for ingeZ. And I feel like what I was gonna say is that the bottom team, I feel like if they wanted to, they could have. I shouldn't say that they could have ended this, but instead of, it's hard to do when in a 4v4 to get all your armies coordinated, as there is going to be a big engagement here. It looks like the bottom team is going to have to fall back a little bit because azLaR has a pretty sizable army here. chronicgamin coming around from the top. Could they trap this army? It doesn't look like they have enough to really trap it. Side storms are going down all over chronicgamin's Stalkers. He's trying to blink them out of side storms, but he is returning the favor. Protoss on Protoss side storm action. As now azLaR looks like is getting softened up pretty good because JJenVy does have the road support now on the ground. There are two weapon upgrades for those roaches, and it looks like that whole army is going to get cleaned up from azLaR, and that is probably going to be all she wrote in this game. I shouldn't say that. It's not over yet. Now there's a whole bunch of Marines and medevacs for Wacko. I don't like the strategy of the top left side. I think the top right side has been much better than the top left side. The Reapers were a great play at the beginning, and I'm fine with the Mass Marines and the medevacs here. It's just that the timing is not good. They need to be engaging at the same time, and here comes Storms that are just going to melt this army so fast. Some feedbacks here on these medevacs even are just going to eat them alive, and they don't even need to because the Mutalisks are just cleaning house. And will we get to see a Storm on the Marines just for a good measure? There it goes. And like I said, I don't know. The top left, if they had combined forces at all of their engagements, this could have been a very different game. But at the same time, well played by the bottom team. They were really up against it early on, and managed to come through as chronicgamin saying, "Win now." I guess that means, do we attack now? As it looks like JJ is just chasing drones all over the place, and now chronicgamin is going to be able to break azLaR with a superior number of stalkers and all these High Templars in the back. They're just too powerful. So it looks like that is going to do it for this game. We are going to watch the festivities unfold, as I believe that the bottom team is in an incredibly superior position right now. And what is Stranix doing running away? Come on, Stranix. Finish the job. I guess he can't really. There's still too many Marines to do it with just Mutalisks. But he is forced to run his Mutalisks down here because ingeZ wants to try and harass this expansion with another Ling Ball. So ingeZ's strategy of Ling Ball after Ling Ball, he is relentlessly sticking with that. And azLaR losing the high yield base before he gets too much out of it, a little bit out of it, not a whole lot. And top team just hanging on because they're tired, I think. I've done this in a 4v4 game before, where it's like the game's over, but I'm not leaving yet because I'm just breathing. I'm just like, oh my god. I'm just taking a deep breath. I'm just like, dude, how did we lose? Like, I just played my ass off and we just lost. And so you're just sort of like, not even really playing as hard anymore. You're just sort of watching as the other team steamrolls your base and kind of thinking back at what you could have done differently during the game. So, I mean, at least I've been there plenty of times. And then sort of vegged out and not realized that I'm just sitting there prolonging the game by not leaving. And then when it hits me, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I might as well leave. So, GG's. Anyway, Storms on drones, that usually means GG. And so, a pretty exciting game, I would say. This was a pretty exciting game early on. Pretty intense there. I thought that you know what's interesting to think about is that Baneling train that was down that was coming up through here earlier in this game. You wonder if ROL had maybe only made half of those into Banelings and the rest Zerglings, how different could this game have been? Because I mean, he would have been able to use the Zerglings to work on some of those stalkers and distract those stalkers, and use the Banelings to just roll right into JJ's base. Who knows? You never know. So that's one thing to think about is I mean, I'm just noticing this right now. I'm thinking about it, and you can't just go mass Banelings and try and run by a Protoss and Zerg base, because like you saw, the stalkers are just going to pick off the Banelings, and the Zerg player can just keep his Zerglings away. So anyway, pretty exciting game there. Thank you, JJenVy, for sending me this game. It was a pleasure to cast. And that is going to do it for me. This is IrieStarcraft, and peace out.